Hey, what's going on, guys? You downloaded a brand new episode of Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo, and as always, I am your host, Elvis Arroyo, and this is episode 52. And on this episode, guys, we are speaking Super Showdown and AEW Revolution's Fallout. Also, new champions in both brands. Also, going to give you guys my MVPs and floppers of the week, so stick around for that. But before we get started, guys, I want to give you a reminder that you can subscribe to this podcast on YouTube by looking us up at Speaking Wrestling. You can also follow us on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle and on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling, guys. Thank you very much. All right, guys, so let's get to it. Hold off on a new episode last Friday onto this one because so much went down over the week, and we had Super Showdown, and we had SmackDown, followed by AEW Revolution. So, busy weekend. Let's get going with what went down at Super Showdown. And what went down at Super Showdown, guys, is we have a new Universal Champion. By now, you know it. Goldberg, the man, is back, and he's back as the Universal Champion. I mean, really, you kind of got to question whether this is a good or bad. I'm fine with it either way. Goldberg is a big star, a big legend. Him having that championship once again, it's not a big deal. I mean, age does come in. The fact that he's not really wrestling a full match. He's really just coming in here and doing a spear. But again, he kind of goes hand in hand with who his opponent is, as we found out on SmackDown. Roman Reigns is Goldberg's first challenger for the Universal Champion, and maybe be the last one. I mean, Goldberg did say a couple years ago, who's the last. It's not about who's next, it's about who's last. And then he came back and did the match with the Undertaker at last year's, Greatest Royal Rumble, was it not? And that match was a debacle, so he had to then come back and wrestle one more match with Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam, just to make sure that Goldberg's status that is that of a legend, not what we saw in his final match with the Undertaker last year. And again, all this being after him being retired and inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which, by all means, by that point, you're done with your in-ring wrestling career. I've always found it odd when someone's going in the night before and then they have a match the next night, or, they just got inducted and then here they come out, back to soak up more time and soak up, more time, more light. Again, it's like, depending on who it is, I guess. When you have someone like Beth Phoenix who's went into retirement and then goes into the Hall of Fame. She's now working as a commentator for NXT. I'm getting off track, but I'm getting back on track. And, it's good for her, but I mean, she should have just never been retired or gone into the Hall of Fame if she can still go. Goldberg here, in this case, see how I got back on track. Goldberg, in this case, he's had the perfect run. The last time that he wrestled with Brock, comes back, wins the title, and then, challenges him or wins it against Kevin Owens, drops it to Brock Lesnar. That's a good ending to a story. You came back, you proved that you're a badass, and you lost it to another guy who's a badass and can carry that championship, as he still is carrying championships, Brock Lesnar, that is. But Goldberg right now, coming back and having this match with Roman Reigns, again, will it solidify Goldberg as being a top star? I mean, I don't know. Some might argue that he's just one of the leftover guys that can still go from that Attitude Era, from the WCW era. He's definitely involved with the Ruthless Aggression Era. That's for sure. He did not come in during the Attitude Era. He was in WCW, and then when WCW closed down, he stayed away from the wrestling business until he came to WWE, and that was already at the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression Era. So, I mean, with the Ruthless Aggression Era, series right now on the network, I mean, some fans are getting a taste of who Goldberg was through that, but he's more of a WCW guy. In essence, this is somebody who his peers have been long retired, and his peers around his time that he was at the peak of the Goldberg was guys like Sting and DDP and Austin, and those guys are retired by now. Big Show is a guy. I mean, don't forget the Giant. He worked with Hogan. He worked with all these guys, Booker T, who are removed from the business. I mean, not saying Goldberg should just stay away. I mean, obviously, you shouldn't tell someone when it's time to hang it up. It's their call. In this case, Goldberg, it's pretty fascinating to see someone like Bill Goldberg who is from that generation. Because again, if you think of anybody else right now still going from that generation, it's Rey Mysterio. So it's guys from the WCW era who worked at the WCW power plant, working with talent from today, talent that's from the Performance Center, talent that's from around the world, wrestling with them today. So I think it's really cool in that sense. If you think about it, look, for Goldberg, it's cool that he's getting this opportunity to work with a top guy like Roman Reigns, and he's going to put him over. I like this a little bit of Goldberg's ego, in that interview or that face to face with Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Good stuff there. I mean, Roman too. Roman, look, let's switch things over to Roman Reigns. Roman coming out here and taking the Universal title, who, again, Goldberg capturing that championship at Super Showdown, it did leave a sour taste on WWE fans and just wrestling fans in general because of who Goldberg is. He should have stayed retired. What's he doing back? It's another part-timer coming back. And just like he did to Kevin Owens, another young guy, he did to Bray Wyatt in this situation. But again, when the whole Bray Wyatt hysteria of him dropping the title to Goldberg, the question I asked to some people on social media is, or really a statement was, are you really that upset? Or were you really going to be that upset? Or some people really feel bad for Bray losing. But again, I didn't feel like Bray Wyatt's title run was a big deal. I mean, it was honestly quite boring, and he should have never been the champion. Bray Wyatt is a character who should have never had the championship. The championship, since if he never won the Universal Championship, it should have been, tossed around or, been in a storyline between The Miz, Daniel Bryan, and then work its way to Goldberg right now. So I think that's the best way it should have gone. Roman, again, being the best opponent for Goldberg, who only does a spear. Roman Reigns, who's got a spear as well. So it's really a battle of the spear. It's a battle of two big giant guys going at it. It's what Vince McMahon wanted in the end. And I think for Bray Wyatt, look, I mean, Bray Wyatt is getting an opportunity to work once again with John Cena. But again, this is a different story that we can tell with John Cena. Again, John Cena, who defeated Bray Wyatt back at WrestleMania 30 in 2014, guys. Again, Bray Wyatt is coming for revenge. That's been his mission. John Cena is going to be another face on the Firefly Funhouse wall. I can guarantee that. It's a good story, and I think it's a good time for John Cena to take loss right now to Bray Wyatt and John Cena step away. I mean, this would give a reason for John to step away for a number amount of years, not just go away and come back next year, WrestleMania. I mean, go away and focus on his movie career, and then come back when the time is right, time that the company could use Cena or an appearance from John Cena, or when it's the right time to tell a story. And speaking of the right time to tell a story, guys, AJ Styles and The Undertaker are getting set up to face one-on-one at WrestleMania. This all came about because The Undertaker answered the call in a 5-man gauntlet in Saudi Arabia this past Thursday against AJ Styles. AJ Styles was expecting Rey Mysterio to come out, but of course, The Undertaker had to make an appearance here in Saudi Arabia, of course. But this is setting up for quite an interesting one-on-one matchup between AJ Styles and The Undertaker for WrestleMania. I mean, Undertaker, who, again, another superstar, part-time at this time, who only really comes around once a year. But now, since we got these Middle East shows, he's coming around a lot more than so. Undertaker working with a very young guy like AJ Styles. AJ Styles not young, he's 42 at this point. But I think this is a good matchup for both guys. I think AJ at this point deserves a match like this because of the longevity of his career, what he's been able to do, the performer that he is. And to be quite honest, I think right now would be a good time to put the title back on AJ over on Monday Night Raw and kind of turn that into the house that AJ Styles took. I mean, we can go with that. I think that would be great. But AJ Styles competing against The Undertaker on the biggest stage of them all is a reward to the career and the time that AJ Styles has put in to this business. And for The Undertaker to work with an opponent like AJ Styles is great because he's going to go in there and work with a top professional in the business right now, a veteran amongst veterans. So I like the matchup against you got the Phenomenal One against the Phenom. So there's some word in play there. These two guys don't have any history with one another. Obviously, AJ Styles spent most of his career in TNA while the Undertaker was, full time still working with the WWE in the Ruthless Aggression era. So this would be a good meeting, but of course, I think Undertaker is going to come up with a victory. AJ Styles is such a good heel, such a top heel, such a professional. Taking a loss to the Undertaker, I can no doubt see him turning around the next night and becoming #1 contender for WWE Universal Championship, and with a draft coming up after WrestleMania. So good time right now, really good time for everybody. Good stories are being told in WWE. Some might question the decision making right now. Put the championship on Goldberg, change Bray Wyatt into Cena. I think it's good times. I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good stuff right now for WWE. I'm enjoying it. All right, and let's talk some AEW. AEW Revolution, guys, was live this past weekend from Chicago. Good show. I mean, the crowd was hot. These AEW shows, they seem to be packed. The crowd looks hot. Good stuff there. The matches, good stuff. I mean, for this pay-per-view, I'll say that they really brought out their top talent for this one. You had Jake Hager, coming up with the victory over Dustin Rhodes. You had Darby Allin beating a very good Sammy Guevara, and what was a very good competitive matchup there. Good stuff there. Cody, MJF, it had all the shenanigans, but I think a good story was told between those two guys. I don't think it's the end, but all I can say was it was a lot of shenanigans in that match, and then you had just a classic, a great tag team classic with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Adam Page, of course, for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Good stuff. To be quite honest, that's probably the first match that I got to say that I enjoyed of the Young Bucks, and it wasn't because of them. Adam Page right now is having a run like no one else in the company. I think him and Darby Allin are the two characters who are just gaining more viewers and more fans every single week. And, it's their characters. They carry themselves like characters, like they know who they are and what they're there to do. So two guys that I praise, but really, look, Adam Page, his character right now is just gleaming. It's really good. I love everything he does, everything he says. I'm interested in it because he is playing a role. He's playing a character, and I love that. I love stuff like that. The Women's Championship, Nyla Rose still retaining her championship. What's her name? Statlander. She's good, but she's got way much more to improve. I still think this was a good opportunity for her, but Nyla Rose is going to keep that championship. I don't think there's anybody right now in the women's division that I would favor other than Britt Baker. I still think Riho is a contender for that championship. She's needs a rematch definitely for that championship. And then, of course, the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, the main event, Chris Jericho defending against Jon Moxley. This was a good matchup. I got to say, this was a good matchup. The crowd was very into this match. It went a little too long, and I think they lost them at the end. But other than that, it did have a big fight feel, which is quite important if you're going to present this as your top main event. The build-up to this, it's been building for months and months and months now. And it all led to Jon Moxley winning the AEW Championship, becoming the second AEW champion for that company. So good stuff for them. Good stuff for AEW. I gotta say, it was a good show. I did not dislike much of it. I gotta say, it was a good show. I really can't wait until AEW Dynamite this week to find out, the fallout and where do we go as they build up to their next big show called Blood and Guts, as they will be presenting a War Games type cage match. Of course, War Games being created by Dusty Rhodes himself, the father of Cody Rhodes. They are presenting a new concept. This one is just going to be like the NXT guys, but with a roof, I heard in that ad they played. So, look, AEW doing their own thing. Look, I wish them well because there's a lot of people down there that I really believe in. And it's just another, form of wrestling to enjoy during the midweek other than WWE. And again, all other companies are great. MLW, NWA guys, I tell you guys to watch them every single week. those shows have been phenomenal, terrific. The work that's going on over in MLW right now with Davey Boy Smith and Brian Pillman's good stuff there. Conan, I mean, go watch that Contra. It's Jacob Fatu is just amazing right now. Some good stuff here there as a big time heel. I love that stuff. Check that out. And for this week's What to Watch For, let's get into what to watch. I went back and saw some stuff on YouTube this week about The Rock visiting the Performance Center about a few weeks ago, and I thought, man, that just that's got to be like a dream. You're working for the WWE, you're going to work your way up, and in comes The Rock, and you actually get to have a conversation with him. So I really dug that. I really thought it was really cool seeing all the NXT talent that's grinding every single weekend, putting on matches, and then to get advice from The Rock. It's really good stuff there. Of course, The Rock was there to help train his daughter, who is also an NXT competitor still in a Performance Center. But it really got me thinking, man, The Rock is just this mega superstar who, to a lot of people these days, he is a movie star. He is just this celebrity. But to wrestling fans like myself and those out there listening who are still diehards, you always think of The Rock or you think of Dwayne Johnson, you always think of him as The Rock first, then you think of him as Dwayne. To most people now, he's Dwayne Johnson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who looks like a wrestler, or he could be a wrestler, but he was a wrestler. And I always am just blown away by when I see him, do interviews or, do mainstream stuff. I'm always thinking, that guy, was once working every single house show, working creative TV, taking bumps and, going out there and working ladder matches and just getting hit in the head with steel chairs. That guy that, is just right now being interviewed on, Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, or he's just on Good Morning America talking about something that's not wrestling. And then, but in my head, I'm thinking that guy, had an amazing match with Mankind at the Royal Rumble 1999. That guy headlined, Wrestlemania. That guy has worked with Eddie Guerrero. The Rock's just put on some of the greatest matches, some of the greatest promos. He's just the man on the mic. Like I'm just saying, to us wrestling fans, we view Dwayne Johnson still as The Rock. So just watching that video, guys, it got me thinking, which is available on YouTube. That's another what to watch for this week. Go watch The Rock visit the Performance Center. But my what to watch for, guys, just thinking about The Rock and also thinking about another guy because of his daughter now. He's basically handing his daughter over to Triple H to, give her, all the tools that she needs to come up in the business. It got me thinking, man, I want to watch some old Rock and some old Triple H stuff. And that is a hell of a rivalry right there. It's one of my favorites. I mean, when I was really, really a kid into wrestling, 7 years old, it was when The Rock and Triple H were breaking in on their own. Hunter breaking away from the Clique, Rock coming in fresh, and then joining the Nation. Some of the best matchups, because those two guys were trying to climb the ladder. They were not the main event. They weren't Brett. They were not Austin. They weren't Undertaker. They weren't Shawn. They were the Intercontinental Championship guys. They were working with Razor. They were working with Goldust, Ahmed Johnson, Savio Vega. They were working with those guys. Owen Hart, of course. But Hunter and The Rock had this chemistry that you can tell there's a friction in between those two guys. It's professional, but again, it's a bit friendly because they know that they respect their craft. Those two guys brought the best of each other, and it got me thinking, what's a good Triple H Rock match that I can give you guys to watch? And I thought about a good one. There's plenty, but I think they all had a different story. They're all not going to be great matches. Of course, the Iron Man match that you can go back to, Judgment Day 2000. But one of my favorites, it's when they're still right underneath. Rock's already been champion. Hunter is about to be champion. going back to July 1999, fully loaded, Buffalo, New York, which strangely, I really did not plan this out, is going to be the location of this week's Friday Night SmackDown. But in Buffalo, New York, 1999, fully loaded, The Rock, Triple H, in a leather strap match. Winner is the number one contender for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam 1999, the next month in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And of course, we all know how that went down. Of course, you know. And then the next night, of course, one of the best nights of all time. But got me thinking, that's a good matchup. That is a good, just hard matchup that fans who, don't know The Rock as being a wrestler, this is a good one. And then also Hunter. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable to see these two guys work the type of match that if you guys go check this out, again, July 1999, fully loaded. It's on the network. The Rock, Triple H. It's second to main. And the match that they have, and when you think about who they are today, Triple H is the CEO of the company, and he's always in a suit. He runs NXT, and then The Rock is this just mega superstar. And go back and watch this match, and they just tear the shit out of each other with this leather strap. China gets involved, DX gets involved. There's good stuff. This is an entertaining match. Go back and watch it again. Number one contender is on the line for the championship at SummerSlam. Great stuff. And again, my MVPs and flopper of the week, guys. Let's get into it. My MVP for the week is a new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Jon Moxley. Of course, congrats to him. His success, where that guy has been in the past year. I mean, it's amazing. A year ago, he was leaving WWE, letting go of the company that has helped make this man, put this guy on a pedestal for everybody to see, made him millions of dollars, where he met his wife. He's got this connection with two guys who are the top superstars, Roman and Seth, and part of the biggest faction ever in the history of the company and the industry, really, the Shield, to leave that, go on his own, go to AEW, work Japan, have a staph infection once again, nearly die, and work his way up to help AEW with what their success they've had thus far. He's been a big piece of that puzzle. You can't deny that he is a top WWE guy working for AEW. Like I said, he's one of the top three guys for the WWE, jumped over, and now he's the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Good stuff for him. And my flopper of the week, guys, again, I'm going to go with Orange Cassidy. I just don't get it. I think some of the match is good, but I just still not really interested in seeing that all the time. And that's going to be guys for another episode of Speaking Wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, you guys could subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and over on YouTube by looking us up at Speaking Wrestling. You can also follow us on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestling, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great wrestling week, guys. We'll do it again next week with episode 53. Bye-bye.